Hello everyone, welcome back to Accessory Crochet. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this pouch that has this very cool zipper. Isn't that fun? Alright, it's not hard, so any beginners who are already intimidated because you see a zipper, don't be. So first I want to say, for those of you who follow me diligently, you will have noticed that I uploaded a short on Thursday which showed you how to add a zipper pull to zipper tape. And then I also uploaded a short yesterday, Friday, which showed you how to add a zipper stopper to a zipper tape. There is always a method to my madness. I was trying to prep you for today's video. So if you don't know how to get this set up like so, then definitely check out those shorts beforehand. Things you will need include some yarn. I'm using a medium 4. I'm going to use a size 5.5 millimeter US crochet hook. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a darning weaving tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and as I said before, a tape that is long enough to fit your pouch, all right? With a little bit hanging over on each side. And of course, you're going to need an actual sewing needle and some thread that's pretty close or that you think won't be seen as you weave it in and out of your pouch, your yarn. Now, let's get started. So we are going to start out with a slip knot. Take your yarn, wrap it around your finger that way, twist exchange. Now wrap it around your finger this way, pull this one over that one and off your finger while lifting up on the loop on your finger. Insert your crochet hook into the loop and then you're going to pull to tighten. Now I want you to chain 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we have our 16 chains. And believe it or not, I'm sure you can believe it because it's usually the case, we're not going to use the 16th chain, okay? So we're going to make our first single crochet into the second chain, 1, 2, second chain from the hook. Because we're not using this, we can make this tight. We can make it smaller, this chain smaller, so it's not as visible by just pulling the yarn tight like that. See how it gets small? And now you guys, we can go directly into that second chain from the hook and yarn over, pull through to the front for 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through 2. 1, 2. And that's how you make a single crochet. Continue putting 1 single crochet in every chain across. 1, 2. And I'll meet you once we get to the last chain. See you there. I'm at that final chain stitch, and in that one chain stitch, that final one, I'm going to put 5 single crochet. So I go in there and I put 1, go back in there and I put 2, go back in there, 3. I'm going to start to round the corner, go back in there, 4, one more time, go back in there, and 5. Okay, so now you see it has turned me so that I'm going this way, and now I'm looking at my single crochets that I just made, but they're upside down. Now you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to crochet into these foundation chain stitches basically. Okay, so we're going to find the body of the single crochet and we're going to go up, and then in that loop or 2 if you want, we're going to put a single crochet. All right, so let's see, here's a body. So if I go up, I can go there or I can go there, it's your preference. I'm going to go there and we're going to put 1 single crochet. So body, go up to that chain and then put a single crochet. And I'm going to crochet over that tail so I don't have to weave it in later. And we're going to do that every time across for every stitch. So find the next body of the single crochet, it's there, go up, go into that chain there and make a single crochet. Body, up, single crochet. Body, see the body there? Up, and that's where you find the chain. You make your single crochet. Body up, see the chain there, single crochet. Continue like so all the way to the other end. And what you guys should be noticing is that these single crochets are basically mirroring each other. All right, a few more to go. Body up, single crochet. Body up, single crochet. And then here's the final single crochet, or technically the first one we made. You guys know I always say symmetry is everything in crochet. Well, I have one single crochet on this end, but remember on this end I made 5 there. So I'm missing 4. So in the body of this very first single crochet that we ever made, I'm going to put 4 single crochet in there, and it's going to help me round the corner. So 1, back in there. For 2, I'm already rounding, back in there. For 3, 1 more, back in there. For 4. And now you guys, I'm at the very first single crochet. Alrighty, so now what? Now it's time to start round 2. So here's the very first single crochet that we made. All right. So in this corner, there are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to work in continuous rounds, which means I'm not going to ever slip stitch. Okay. I'm just going to find the next single crochet, even if it's starting the next round. And I'm going to just put a single crochet in there. And that's why we need the stitch marker. So let's do just that. I'm going to slice the icing off the top of the cake of that first single crochet, and I'm going to put a single crochet in there, and that has now started round 2, but it doesn't really look like it, so that's why I'm going to put the stitch marker on there, so I always know what stitch started the next round. And I can leave the stitch marker on there and just continue crocheting around and around until I get my pouch tall enough, and that's a matter of personal preference. Okay, I'll let you know how many rounds I do, but it can stay on here, and then you can leave it there and just continue crocheting around and around, and then you'll be able to count and see where the first stitch is. This may seem a little bit like abstract at this point, but just trust me, I'm planning to see it. So now I just continue like normal, putting 1 single crochet in every single crochet around until I get my pouch as tall as I want it to be. All right, so no more increases, no more putting 5 single crochet and a single crochet or 4 single crochet and a single crochet, none of that. It's just 1 single crochet in every single crochet around. Okay, so continue like that, and I'm going to check back in a little bit later so that you can see what this becomes. Basically, this is going to start to fold up. It will fold about that mirror line. So I'll check back in and I'll show you what I mean. Enjoy. As you can see by the placement of the stitch marker, I have just completed round 2, and now I'm starting round 3. So there's the stitch marker, so I just go in there and I put a single crochet, and then I move it over and I go into the next stitch and put a single crochet. So as I said, you can leave that stitch marker there, and then we'll always be able to know where the beginning of the round is as we follow what stitch is in that one, what one is in that one, and so on and so forth. So just continue putting single crochets, 1 in every stitch around, until you get to your desired height. Okay, and as I said, this line, what I call the mirror line, these crochets are like reflection of those. When you fold them over, that's what you're gonna get. So right now this is like this. So you see we have several more rounds to crochet. This right here is only about that much. You guys see it? Hopefully that makes sense. And it's gonna curl and curve as it should. So yeah, just continue going round and around until you get it as tall as you want. And when I check back in, I'll let you know how many rounds I did. I have crocheted 13 rounds. And you might be wondering, why did I stop there? How did I know where to stop if I'm working in continuous rounds? That's the purpose of the stitch marker right here on that stitch way down there. So it drifts a little bit where the beginning of each round starts, drifts slightly to the right. So if I follow this up, that stitch right there, if I were to crochet into it, that would be starting the 14th round. And you can always count the number, but it's easier to just follow the stitch up. So I crocheted my final single crochet in the stitch before that one so as to not begin the 14th round. So I crocheted 13 rounds. You can make your pocket deeper if you want, or more shallow, depending on what you need it for. But this is sufficient. A secondary check that you can use is to just kind of fold it in half and make sure that one edge is not higher than the other. All right, so now I am going to just slip stitch into the next stitch like that. And then I'm going to cut my yarn and fasten it off. And now I can use my darning weaving tapestry needle to weave this tail in through some of those single crochets. So I'm gonna just go in some stitches in one direction like normal. Don't pull too tight. And then go back in the opposite direction, taking a slightly different path, weaving the tail in that way. Once again, not pulling too tight. All right, and now I'm gonna cut my yarn. And there we have our pouch. All right, you can take out this stitch marker now. You no longer need it. It has served its purpose. All right, so now it's time to add the zipper. As I said, I created a couple of shorts showing you how to get your zipper tape with the zipper and the zipper stopper set up. So now it's time to sew it to this pouch. So you're gonna grab your thread, which you probably can't see on camera, and you're gonna grab your sewing needle and then you'll feed the thread through the eye of the needle, like you always do with your yarn going through the darning weaving tapestry needle, right? And then you're just going to create a long tail with this. You guys can't see any of this because it's so small, but I'm just creating a long line and I'm doubling it, okay? You guys know how to do this part, right? And I like to grab the needle and then just kind of pull both strands together. And then once I get to where one ends, I cut them so that they're of equal length. And then my grandmother taught me this. She taught me to wrap it around my finger like that and then roll it until it's off my finger like that, and then grab and then pull down and it creates a knot. And you can do that several times. It's really cool. So we have our needle and our thread. Now we grab our zipper. Okay, and remember I told you that if we lay it this way, you want it to hang off the sides a little bit because that part is going to be tucked inside the pouch. All right, so we have our needle and thread, and now we grab our zipper tape and we're going to fit this in here. Depending on which way you want your zipper to go, you can choose a side. I'm choosing this side, and I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to approximate how deep down I want it to go. So I think I like it like that, where the zipper kind of comes to that point, which means I have to fit on the other side to tuck it in over here as well, because I want it to be flat on the top. Okay, and then with these two sides, I'm going to fold them in because I'm trying to simulate what it'll look like once it's completely sewn in. So I just fit it in to make sure it's in deep enough in both corners so that it just nicely lays on the top. So see how it's a little bit raised? So I'm gonna push that in a little bit more on that side. I can't push it in more on this side because the zipper prevents that. Something that would prevent this is putting the stopper higher up, but it is as it is, so we'll work with it. So I'm gonna put it in that way and then just kind of fit it in. Pull these sides up, and then I get an approximation of what it'll be like once I get it all. So it'll be something like that, okay? All right, so I have this edge tucked in where I want it to be. This edge is good as well. So now I'm going to commence to sewing. And you always want to start with one corner and sew there first. I want to start with this one. So I'm going to hold that, pull this out, and then just kind of gently lift up so that I don't move its position. And I say, okay, that's where I'm going to sew. I'm going to take my sewing needle and I'm going to go through the fabric of this tape, and it's just lined up right in the corner, you guys, okay? So just go through the fabric of the tape out to the outside, like that. Try to make sure your thread doesn't get tangled, and make sure you're being precise with where you enter and exit so that you don't have to try to fix something, okay? So it's there. And then I'm going to go just around the stitch and go back through, coming back to the inside like this. Okay, and I look and I make sure it's pulled tight, and it is. And I'm going to do this several times. You could now jump over to this side, on the other side, right, and go through there just to kind of secure it on that left side as well. Pull it through. And then go back through on that left side, on this side. And you can just keep going back and forth. Or you can spend a little time on one side, on the left side, right? And then come back through, stay on the left side, sewing it, and come back through. Okay, we're just trying to get this tape attached to the pouch. Now, let's say, okay, I spent a lot of time on the left side. Let's go back over on the right side, over here, and then go back through. Make sure you're always going through the fabric of the tape, okay? All right, yeah, and then you'll just keep doing that until you feel like it is really secure. I would definitely do several passes going from the right side to the left side and the left side to the right side, because that will really help to stabilize it. But only cross over on the back side, on the inside. So now I'm on the inside, I'm going to cross over, okay? All right, so if I pull, I see it's attached very nicely. Now I'm going to start to work my way along the side. Notice that my thread is on the outside. So before I start to work on the side, I definitely want to pull this thread on the inside. So I want to pass it back through to the inside. That'll be your starting point. Now we're on the inside, we're good. Okay, so when you work on the sides, on this first side, you want to unzip it so that you have more maneuverability. And sometimes when you're sewing, if you're not careful, your thread can get caught in the zipper. So make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, all fixed. So now, as I said, when you work on the first side, you want to unzip it so that you can maneuver this edge better. So what you want to do is you want to fit this edge so that this track is lined up with the top edge of your pouch, okay? Like that. Once that is the case, then we can start to sew it. If you have it up higher, then you're going to see this white line and the zipper will be kind of protruding out the top. So I like to have it lined up with the edge there. Okay. And then make sure you know where your needle is. So I'm going to make sure I'm coming between the two sides of the tape so that I'm on the inside. It's coming through there. Okay. And now I'm going to commence to sewing. So I'm going to go from the inside, going through the tape out to the outside. And then I'm going to go from the outside back to the inside, going through the tape once again. And just try to be consistent. So keep that tape lined up with the edge of your pouch as you're doing this. And periodically check to make sure you don't have any loose loops, because that just means you didn't pull the yarn all the way through or the thread all the way through. And just keep going. See how now it's a little bit higher, so I'm going to bring it down, hold it there, and then I'm going to commence to sewing. You can also use some pins to kind of hold it in place if you want. It's not necessary, but just make sure you're keeping an eye on where the zipper tape is in relation to the pouch. Make sure it doesn't get too high. Alright, so I'm going to continue working on this, sewing on this side, and I'll meet you once we get to the next corner. This side is now completely sewn, as you see, and now it's time to approach this next corner. So what I'm going to do is zip this up just a little bit, and I'm going to now tuck this inside. And I'm going to once again try to recreate what it'll look like once everything is sewn together. So I'm going to tuck in that side. And once again, I do that just to make sure that I've tucked the corners in deep enough, okay? So I'll pull that up just a little bit, like that. Push it down. You're gonna have to make some adjustments, but yeah, like that. See, that's pretty good. Okay, so I like this placement. This side obviously will be tucked in, but that's good. So once I'm happy with how it looks, then I hold the corner, because that's where I'm going to start sewing. So open it up gently, holding that corner in place. Now open it up, and now I'm going to sew it right there, right as it is. And I'm going to go through the same procedure as I went through with the other corner. Make sure you're starting with your thread on the inside, which it is, and then once again just go through the tape to the outside and then bring it back to the inside. And remember, when you want to go across the zipper line, make sure you only do that on the inside, because you're making longer jumps and your thread is more visible. So you want it to be visible on the inside where no one will see it. Going through the tape and then also going through the pouch itself, like that. And then just repeat this process, doing this several times, just like we did with the other corner. Working on the right side, and working on the left side, then jumping back and forth, switching sides only on the inside, so on and so forth. All right, so I am going to continue working on this, and then I'll meet you back here once I'm ready to sew up that final side. So I did use basically all of the thread in that corner just to make sure it was really secure. So I started some more thread just to finish this final side. So this is what it's looking like so far. Okay, so now I just have this last side to weave in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip it up just a little bit to kind of see. Okay, and I'm going to turn it this way so that this side is to me. And I just want to once again check to make sure it's going to, you know, lay. The zipper is going to lay the way I want it to, and it will. Okay, so now I'll unzip this, and now I'm going to tuck this in, and once again I'm going to have this zipper kind of lined up with the top of the pouch. You can even have it a little bit below if you want. It's preference. All right, so I'll take my thread and my sewing needle, and remember, you always want to start from the inside. So since I'm starting a new thread, I'm coming from the inside, but say I was continuing, I would want to make sure that I was already on the inside. So I'll come in through the inside, making sure that I'm going through the tape out to the outside, like that. The knot catches onto the tape, and then I kind of like to go through the center of these single crochets, by the way. That's just my preference. And then just be consistent pulling through. Okay. Make sure you keep it lined up the whole way. And once again, as I said before, you can use some pins to hold it in place while you sew, or you can just kind of wing it. And yeah, I'm just going to sew up this side. Make sure, you guys, that your thread doesn't get caught on your your zipper, because that can be kind of a headache. But I think we're good. So I'll check back in once I get to the other side. All right, you guys, so we're about pretty much at the corner again. I'm just gonna do a final few passes just to make sure that everything is secure in the way I want it. There's no particular number of passes that you need to do here, just until you feel like everything is secure. Okay. All right. Now, what I like to do at this point is I like to tie a knot by going through the actual fabric. So I'll go through like this, and then I'll take 2 of the 4 strands, because remember, it's doubled, right? And I wrap it around a couple of times. So 1, 2, and then I pull the needle up and out, and as it closes, it creates a knot. And you can do this a couple of times. That makes you feel better. Like, okay, it's definitely secure. Wrap twice and then pull up. All right, that's secure. So I'm going to cut my thread, and the moment of truth. Yay! Okay, guys, so this is how you add a zipper to a pouch. Isn't that cool? Yeah. And now that you know how to add a zipper to a pouch, you can add a zipper to many other things. You can add it to, you can create purses, jackets, tops, whatever. So yeah, for you beginners, as you see, it was not as hard as you probably thought it was. Of course, that's assuming that you made it to this point. Hopefully you did. You can't stay a beginner forever, or at least you shouldn't. You could, but you definitely should not. All right, guys, hopefully you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, definitely give it a like and consider subscribing. And if you want to see more videos, more cool, fun videos from me that will cause you to challenge yourself, then definitely check out the video above.